Hey guys, this is test 54 game 3. This is the cake layers game. It's an ordering game. We know this because it's going from 1st through 6th, and we're placing the cake layers in order in that way. They actually suggest that things go from bottom to top from 1 to 6, but rather, since we're so accustomed to typically laying out games horizontally, I'm going to recommend that we do so here as well, with 1 being the bottom and then the 6 being the top. Now, I've laid out some rules here. I'll explain all of those. They tell us that we have R and S never touching. They tell us that M is immediately above L, giving us an LM box occurring consecutively in that order. And they tell us that we have O higher than M, but lower than S, giving us the general order LM, O, then S. Now, this is pretty much the initial setup for the game. You can lay out a bunch of restrictions, such as that S cannot go on 1, 2, 3, M can't go on 4, 5, 6, L can't go on 4, 5, 6, etc. But I actually don't think it's worth it here. Instead, I would recommend making 3 main diagrams based upon the placement of the LM box, because it can only go on 1, 2, 2, 3, or 3, 4, because if it was on 3, 4, we'd have O5 and S6. So here they are. Now, when we have LM on 3, 4, we have to have O5 and S6 due to the fact that O and S have to come after LM in that order. And then we have R and V interchangeable on 1 and 2. So I'll put down R/V on 1, and then V/R on 2. Now, when we have LM on 2, 3, we know we've got to have O before S coming after that at some point, and then we have R and V remaining. One of RV could go on 4, 5, 6. The other one of those two will have to go on 1 due to the fact that neither O nor S could go there. So we're going to have one of RV occurring on the middle level, and then of course on the bottom diagram we have O before S, as well as both R and V going within 3, 4, 5, 6. So this right here is our initial setup for the game. Now, question 13 is a typical orientation question. We're simply going to take one rule at a time and apply that rule to all 5 choices, looking for violations. So, of course, we know that LM has to occur consecutively in that order. We'll look for violations of that, and choice C violates this, having it be ML, the reverse of what we need. Now, we also know that S and R can never touch, so I'll look for violations of that. Scanning through the choices, B has S and R touching, unacceptable, so B can be eliminated. We also know that we have to have O going before S, so I'll look for violations there. And choice D has S before O, unacceptable, so D is gone. And then finally, the general order LM before O before S. Choice E violates that, having O before L, so E's gone, leaving A for 13. Next, number 14, if S is not immediately above O, meaning if we did not have OS occurring consecutively. So if that's the case, of course, the top diagram can automatically be eliminated. Down the middle, we're going to have O on 4, S on 6, and then V/R going on 5. On the bottom diagram, it's a bit more open-ended, of course. The middle one's the most fleshed out. We'll use both, though. So what could be true? R immediately above V. Well, if we had RV touching, then we would have, in either order really, we would then have to have OS touching, so A is impossible for that reason. Looking at B, R immediately above O, that could work. We could have R on 4, O on 3, and then, S and V interchangeable on 5 and 6. That works. So B is our answer for number 14. I will go through the rest, though. R immediately below M. Of course, there's no room for that in either diagram, so C is gone. R is being number 2. No, we have either L or M there, so D is gone. Then R being top. Well, if R were the top layer, meaning, of course, R on 6, we then have OS as well as V. But then, remember, of course, the question stem here is that OS cannot touch, so E's gone as well, leaving B. Next, number 15, if S were not the top layer. So if S were not the top layer, of course the top diagram is automatically irrelevant because S is always the top layer in that diagram. O can never be on 6 due to the fact that O is always before S. So we're going to have V or R on 6. So I'll put down V/R for both of these. Now in the middle diagram, we would have to have, of course, O on 4, S on 5. S and R can never touch. Therefore, in this middle diagram, we're going to have V on 6 and have R on 1 as a result. In this bottom diagram here, things are a little bit more open-ended. I'll flesh them out to show you what I mean. We have, of course, 6 spaces as always. There are a number of different possibilities here. I'll start by fleshing them out with either V on 6 or R on 6. And then, of course, we have LM on 1, 2, as always. So we have O before S occurring, and we know that we also have either V or R remaining. On the top diagram, it's R. On the bottom diagram, it's V remaining. So in each of these, we're going to have, O before S as well as R. but O, S, and R can never touch. So for that reason, having V on 6 in this diagram is just never going to work, because we're going to have S and R touching somewhere on either 4 or 5 interchangeable. So for that reason, we're going to have R on 6 in that bottom diagram. S will not be 5, therefore S has to be 4, O has to be 3, and V has to be 5. So we've actually learned that V has to be on either 5 or 6. There are no other places that it could go, so E is our answer for 15. Next, number 16, if L is third. So if L is third, the bottom two diagrams are irrelevant. The top one is the only one that matters because that's the only one that has L there. So what could be true? Could we have V on 5? No, O's there, so A is gone. Looking at B, V immediately above R. Yeah, that could happen. We could have R on 1, V on 2. Works perfectly fine, so B is our answer for 16. I would look at the rest, though. O does not touch M. Is that possible? No, they have to touch, so C is gone. R above M. Could that happen? No, we actually have M above R, so D is gone. Then looking at E, S not top. No, S does have to be top, so E is gone, leaving B. Next, number 17, what could be the two lowest layers? Well, it could be R and V in either order, so RV or VR. Could be RL or VL, or it could be LM. So the correct answer will have to be one of these things. We could just run through the list here. LR never appeared here, so A is gone. And of course, we also know that because L and M have to touch in that order, so L would always be followed by M. Looking at B, VR, that actually could happen, so therefore B is our answer to 17. We have that right here. We saw it in the top diagram. I will look at the rest though. MR, no, L is always before M, and of course MR is not listed here, so C is gone. Looking at D, RM, no, it has to be LM, never RM, so D is gone, and of course it's not there. Then looking at E, RS, never happens in the list. R and S could never touch period, so E is gone, leaving B.